What up? What up?
This is the Vajja the Broadcast Show. Timpin Saslone.
Timpin Saslone. How you doing, brother Whiskey? Oh no. How you doing, Deacon Williams?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Well, all is well. Can't complain. Just blessed to be in the presence of greatness.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see if we can get that introduction on time. We'll see. We'll be working towards it. Every time it's like we're almost there, that we might be like completely out of place, but it's just always fun just doing that. Yeah, but it looks like you're in a new undisclosed location. So how's everything been going over there?
You know, I'm in the hearts of the people. You know, I'm in the city that never sleeps. But I have to be getting my rest and just making good decisions. You know, all this.
Yeah. Yeah. And so before we get started with today's show, we just want to take a quick moment just to thank all you viewers and everybody that's been a part of our journey so far. Thank you for your continued support. We greatly appreciate it, and just looking forward to continuing to continue to build this community. And I guess as we move forward, we just want to ask the viewers if there's any topics or anything you want us to talk about, just let us know. Whether you're watching the YouTube video, leave a comment. If you're seeing this clip, whether it be on Instagram or any other platform, just leave a comment there or send a DM. So we just greatly want to appreciate you. And if there's anything you want us to talk about, just let us know.
Indeed.
All right.
Like my fault. Was I supposed to carry that one? I didn't know. He was going for 30. I didn't know if I need to put an assist on it. I mean,
yeah. No, I was debating too, but I think that's pretty good.
Listen, I said that was a fast break 1-on-1. I just had to let you go to the hole, no diddy, but you know. So it's no secret that the beauty of aging comes experience. And I think that every person becomes a boy to a man, into a girl, into a woman, or whatever gender identity preference that people subscribe to, adjusting to adulting. What do you think about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely a big transition. Just adulting, just going from childhood, and then you're basically under your parents' wing most of the time. In adulting, you're really just putting yourself out there. You're kind of experiencing things firsthand. I think it's definitely a lot of learning steps you take with adulting. A lot of things you have to learn through experience. Just putting yourself out there and really just taking on the world one step at a time, whether it be when you graduate from college, just getting your first job, or just trying to figure out what you want to do in life, your passions and goals you want to achieve. So I think a lot of it's learning by experience, and it's just putting yourself out there, just not being afraid to learn lessons, and also not being afraid to fail. Because I think definitely with adulting, you see yourself having ups and downs throughout your life, but just being able to learn from them, I think that's the important thing.
I think with adjusting to adulting, the key is always asking the generation before you the necessary steps and how they would navigate certain situations. I think the beauty of kind of aging is that people have walked this life before you. I think the biggest indicator that one can face that shows that they're transitioning to adulthood is simply paying health insurance. I think that when you start paying health insurance, I think that's when you kind of understand that, yeah, I might be just touching the adulthood situation.
Yeah, I'm actually in the middle of this process right now, especially like they say, when you turn 26, that's the key change there, because that's when you have to really get your own health insurance.
Right.
So yeah, I'm in the middle of this process right now, applying for health insurance. And so, yeah, like you were saying, it's definitely, that's one big thing, is paying for it and just learning the whole process of it itself. Because a lot of times I think just being able to like experience it and learn the actual steps you need to take is like a big wake up call. So, oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on outside, especially with adulting and adulthood, that you really have to learn. So I think, yeah, especially health insurance, that's one of the big turning factors when you're transitioning into adulthood.
Right, and every decision, because health and care is, just in general is very important. I recommend everybody should, at least have some type of coverage or some type of benefits they use for, in case of emergencies. But, just realizing as you get an adult, I think the difference between being a child and an adult, I think the decisions that an adult makes has more consequences. So I think you kind of just even we were talking about with healthcare, different coverages, different, plans, different each healthcare plan had its own benefit and its own negative. So just trying to understand the difference between the two is always kind of just, important. And even if you look at adulting, even transitioning to moving, just even if you're in one particular place for a time and you have to move, and if you have kids, it's a lot of different factors that kind of put into play of this, adulthood thing here.
Hmm. Yeah, me personally, I haven't experienced a big move yet, but I know that's definitely a big transition, especially if you're been mainly in one location for most of your life or one local area. There's learning, moving there, all the little things have to change, whether it be your driver's license, whether it be just learning the area itself and just getting used to that new environment can definitely be a big transition. But that's something we'll probably all have to go through if you're not living in the one local area your whole life. But yeah, it's definitely a big transition. There's like little things surrounding it that you have to think about, not just the move itself, but things surrounding the move and the buildings that you have to change in order to be fully acquainted with your new surroundings.
Yeah, you definitely tell who your real friends are when it's time to move because, moving couches at a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, you know, isn't necessarily ideal. But I think I look at moving um, as just a blessing because you get to see a new experience, you're around new people. As you get older and, as you're younger, you're in extracurricular activities. And as you get older, you kind of have more free time. Usually you go to work and then, your rest of the day is free. So talk about the importance of just having hobbies or productive skills kind of after you're not working into adulthood.
Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely good to have. I think we've said like in previous episodes a work-life balance. So just finding your routine, just finding what you're passionate about, because that will help you get through even the down days where you might have had a bad day at work or things are going on outside. If you have those hobbies that you're looking forward to, that can really help carry you through your days, especially the days where you don't have those like down moments. So I think, yeah, overall, just having those hobbies and just figuring out what you're passionate about is good, and just finding things to do outside of work could definitely help continue to drive you through and carry you through on carry oh sorry carry yourself on throughout your days.
Yeah, and I look back when I was younger, I was always in like, extracurricular activities. And I think as I get older, I still try to keep those same habits to kind of stay out the way and stay out of trouble. So, whether that's, joining a swim club, pool league, or, just even a kickball, bowling league, just always just being interactive in the community and just, making productive use of your time at all times is probably the key there in that situation.
Hmm. And what would you say are some of your hobbies now?
Just going on hikes, swimming. I like to live a very, very, I'm trying to figure out the right way to say that. I like doing things that are outside of my normal box. Like I think, off air, but I remember I told you I went horseback riding for the first time. So, just doing the simple things, getting back in nature, I'll probably say. How about yourself?
Hmm. Yeah, I'll say yeah, definitely things like whether it be going to concerts, going to the gym, or even what we're doing here with Vaj Auto Production. That's a good thing to really learn and just really just have passions outside of what you do on your normal basis. I think also even just little things to help you decompress, whether it be watching like movies or TV shows or going to the movie theaters. I think that can definitely help calm you down and just really just have that. And also, I play the flute. Also at my church, part of the handbell choir. So just being able to participate in that, just I'm involved in also other church activities. So being able to participate in things. Also, I think building communities outside of maybe your normal circle of your family and friends. I think just building things outside of there. I think those are some good hobbies to have.
Will the people that are watching this episode, will they ever get the pleasure of seeing you play the flute someday?
I think so. Yep. I just started playing it again this year. I think it was like I played, I think, mainly like in elementary, middle, and high school. And then I played a little bit in college, and there was like a 7 year break in between. So I just started playing again. So I think you guys will be hearing me soon. Just stay tuned out for that.
Love this show. Do you think that music in general is kind of losing the essence of what it is through like AI technology, or do you think AI technology can help music?
um, I say it's both ways. It could be an assistance, but I think as long as you don't allow it to be like your main crutch and only go to it, not really learn it itself. Because I think with AI, it's like a tool that you can use for assistance, but you shouldn't use that as your overall skill. So I think as long as you have like the honed in on your own skills and just have your good background, you can use AI as an assisting tool to help take things to the next level or to help, I think, have things more efficient. I think that's the main thing. But as long as you do that, I think it should be good.
I think technology has always been integrated in music, whether that's, auto tune or even nowadays, a lot of music is built on a laptop. So I think there's going to be some level of automation and technology that's going to be in music. But I think that just, the best of the best always stands the test of time. I think whenever there's growth and progress, sometimes change is necessary. And I think that that change means sometimes evolving from certain friendships. So talk about like how difficult or what are the necessary steps to kind of implement that change.
hmm Yeah, definitely. I think as time evolves, we evolve with it, and how we act, and how I guess our personalities are, and the people that we surround ourselves with. So I think there's times and seasons for everything. I think you have the people that you grew up with during your childhood, and then you kind of evolve into your college friends. Then once you go through that, I think there's kind of a mix in between of the people that you surround yourself with in college and people that you have in your hometown. So I think as long as I think they also have evolved, I guess, and you're kind of like in the same path or at least the same mindset. So I think the main thing you want to have with your friends, people that don't have holding you back. So I think as long as you have people that want to continue to grow and evolve with you, and people that don't hold you back, as people that can see you for you and don't want to change yourself, I think that's the main thing. And then also just really just realizing that and seeing how it is okay, I guess, as we evolve and change, your friend circle might change. So it's okay. I guess if you might not, you might have someone you might have talked to every day. It might be every other day or once a week type of thing. So I think things do change and evolve over time, especially with your friend circle. But I think just realizing that, and just seeing that as the bigger picture, I think that's the main thing.
Have you ever had a friend or a person holding you back?
Um, I don't think I don't think there's like any one particular thing. I think time evolves. I think it's more just you might not be as frequent in communication with that person.
Yes.
But I wouldn't say I don't think there's been anybody holding back. I think the main thing is being selective with your friends from the start. So I think you kind of vet out that friendship to begin with. You can see, okay, once you start to become friends with that person, can you see that person really being involved in your life, not only now, but in the future? So I think if you do that from the beginning, that kind of vets the process of you don't have to worry about people holding you back. So I think as long as you have that circle where you're selective with your people, where you can see, okay, this person's not holding you back. They're a person that they see me for me, and they'll be with me throughout the process, and they'll be able to hold me accountable for different things. So I think that's the main thing. Just pick your friends from the beginning and see, okay, for long term, are they a person that can really help me out in the future? Are they a person that won't be holding me back? So I think as long as you do that from the beginning, that's the main thing.
Missy said, yeah, I don't need nobody holding me back. Shit, nah, can't be holding me back. Missy said, I'm gonna see you from the gate. If you on some shenanigans, nah, I can't be friends with that. Nah, oh, thank you. I rebuke that energy in the name of the devil. Mm-mm-mm.
So I guess what would you say are the dangers of AI? Do you think it can get to a place where it gets just very dangerous and too far?
I think with the wrong intention, I think anything can be taken too far. And I think if we're in a society where everybody's quick to judge and be the jury and executioner, I think the ability to create false messages kind of put people at a disadvantage because I think that with the wrong intention, you can package up anything and create a certain type of narrative. And I think that's very dangerous because we live in a process where you're innocent till proven guilty. And I think with AI technology and the ability that it can create creates a society where it's guilty. Prove to me that you're innocent, and that's a different level of dialogue there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like I was saying, you definitely have to be mindful. I think you really just have to have. I think this really highlights your own knowledge and skills. I think being able to really, I could think, take yourself and take a step back and really just evaluate things because you can see there's some things you can see. Okay, that's definitely AI. There's some things that are just very tricky to figure out. So I think yeah, overall, just being mindful of things, just be prepared for it because I think we'll see it AI evolve over time. So I think there's definitely going to be positives and negatives. So I think we just got to be prepared for it.
With different streaming services like Amazon gaining certain NBA rights, what's your perspective on the streaming versus cable debate?
I guess there's kind of positives and negatives for each. I think the nostalgia of the cable era, I think you definitely have those moments where you want to go back. Okay, you had the event where everybody was kind of tuning in live to see. You had to see them, but I guess with streaming, you can kind of watch however you want to watch, whenever you want to watch. So it's definitely, I can see both sides of that. Definitely, we've seen a big change over the years.
Yes, we kind of our generation kind of caught the tail end of kind of like the cable era. I think the beauty of that was everybody was watching at the same time and everybody had the same reaction. And then the next day, you had the ability to talk about it. So I think everybody was kind of on one accord as far as watching a single episode sporting event kind of together. And I think now everybody's kind of in different selections of television, so to speak. So I think that the good thing about it is you have the ability to choice, but I think the cable era kind of brought us more together as a community. But there's still shows out there that probably, elicit the same response.
hmm Yeah, I see. Some have like a combination where they release a show like week by week where you have one episode. So a lot of people, if they want to watch at the same day, they can. You kind of also see like on social media, you see people react to it around that same time. So you kind of have that. But like you're saying, it's not everybody at the same time. You have to be watching at that exact moment. So I think we definitely seen a change there. I guess overall now having experience streaming, both streaming and cable, do you think you have a preference of what you prefer?
That's a good question. I think eventually it's going to get to a point where you're going to be able to order shows a la carte. Because I think now you have shows that only are primarily on certain streaming services, and then you have other selections that are primarily over here. So I think eventually it's going to come to the ability where you can just kind of plug and play and just grab this show and kind of create just a streaming own personal for like the things that you kind of like. So instead of it being just you subscribe to a service, you're probably just subscribe to a show and just pay that fee or however the fee that they want for that show, maybe in the future. But to answer your question, I'll probably say I'm I'm kind of in between. I think it depends on what it is. I think more sporting events, I think that's to be shared and experienced together. So I'll probably say I'm more traditional in that. But as far as like shows, I think I kind of have more freedom of choice in that perspective. How about yourself?
hmm Yeah, definitely with shows and like if something's released, movies released on a streaming platform, I definitely like the streaming option. I think as you're saying, I'm kind of in between two, kind of miss that live presence, but I think there's also things that you can implement live to streaming. So I say definitely a combination of both, especially like with sporting events. I think now we'll see, especially with like NFL, NBA, and different sports, we'll have a lot of it streamed, but you basically stream it live. So it's basically as if you're watching cable, but on a streaming platform. So I think we still have what do you call it? They're just different things you could take from cable and take that into streaming. So I think there's definitely ways you can have both. But I just like with streaming, you have just the option of watch whenever you want to watch. And I guess if you want to watch your phone, you want to watch your tablet, you want to watch the TV, you have that. You have the ability to kind of fit in, as we were saying, I think earlier with time management, you have the time to just fit things into your own schedule. Kind of okay, I want to dedicate this time to watch this and wind down for the day. So I think definitely some things you can implement now, but I think if I had to make a choice, I'll probably choose stream. But having that balance in between and having both sides, I think it's still good to have both streaming and cable.
Do you think there's like too many streaming platforms as far as like you have to log into this site to watch this episode and then and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if there's ever been a situation where you've had one season on one streaming platform and then the second season on a different platform, but I don't know if that's ever happened before.
I think mainly if like a show got canceled or if they got moved to a different network. But usually when once it's on one platform, it'll stay there. Depending, there could be situations where like a show might have been with, for example, like a Netflix and it got moved to a Hulu, right? They might have had different rights where they had because a lot of times the program that you have, depending if it's not an original from that streaming
Right.
platform itself. It can move from platform to platform. So like you were saying, there is the choice. Okay, that now is like a thing where you have a lot of platforms. I think we're starting to get to that point. I think now we're even seeing where there's going to be like the bundle side now, where like you can bundle, even if it's not in the same parent company, you have like different bundles. We'll probably see where you have those combinations. So I think it's going to be, we'll see. It's definitely going to be a change probably in the future where we'll have like a lot of just bundles of different streaming platforms. But I think there is a lot of choices. I think that there's like the cost effect side of, okay, do I want to pay this much for this platform? But then you have to have okay, they have this shows, these movies. Okay, do I want to get all of those? So I think each streaming service has its own benefits. So I think people are, they're basically paying for cable through streaming services. So I think we'll continue to see that.
But I think with certain streaming services too, you can have a streaming service that are like the regular, like with the commercials, and then you can have also kind of streaming service without no ads. Like to me, I kind of have the perspective. If I'm paying for something, I'm probably not gonna want ads just to kind of add to the overall experience. But I may be in the minority with that perspective.
hmm Yeah, I think there's like certain platforms you don't mind. Like there's some where like the ad's only like a minute, so okay, I could pay less for it. But there's some where like every like 10, 15 minutes there's like an ad. So like okay, I don't I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah, I'm not paying for that. Like there's, for advertising purposes, I won't say the name of the streaming service, but there's one streaming service that I pay for with no ads because I think it's just, don't get me wrong, I understand the marketing aspect and I understand the advertising dollars that commercials bring into the organization, but at some point it's like, all right, if am I
hmm
watching the show or am I watching?
hmm Yeah, I think that's going to continue with the evolution, especially now we have more shows and movies coming out. They're going to need to help support those with that streaming service. So we'll probably see advertisements with those different plans and just different things and different as we have more live events, they'll have more advertising. So I think they'll have as the streaming platforms grow, they'll be able to earn more with those advertisements. So I think we'll probably continue to see that. But I think as you were saying, they'll have just a different plans when you want ad free or not. There's some where you probably won't be able to choose, especially if you're watching like a live sporting event.
Right.
So yeah.
Do you think that is officially like the end of like outside of like the basic weather traditional cable channels? Do you think it's the end for cable?
Um, I think we're kind of like half and half there because we still have some things, but it seems like now we kind of have like a cable but a streaming option for cable. It seems like a lot of the cable platforms they say, okay, if you can't watch it live, just stream the next day on X platform. So just seeing that, I think we have a combination of both, but I think possibly over time, depending on how many people or what the numbers are, as far as if people are just foregoing their cable, because I think a lot of people, I think they have their regular cable, but they have their selection of what streaming services you have. I think that kind of gives you a good choice. You still have, I think the thing with cable too is it's reliable. You already have that in place. And then with streaming, you can kind of pick and choose and kind of, you can be more selective with that. So I think possibly over time, just seeing just the way how streaming has evolved, it might be a full streaming world because basically there's things where like you can watch a live event just through streaming. But I think right now we still have a healthy combination of both a cable stream. I think we're definitely leaning more towards streaming.
Yeah, I think things are evolving. I think that it's just the part of life. But yeah, definitely agree with you on that aspect for sure.
hmm
Um,
And then if you're watching a show, I think I think you always with cable you saw like okay it was released week by week, and then with streaming you have the thing where people can now binge. It's definitely become a thing where like okay the whole season's out, I can binge it and watch the full thing. There's some situations where okay it's basically like a regular traditional cable but it's on a streaming platform where you have things week by week. Do you have a preference where you're with your show preferences or anything like that where you want to have the whole season where you can binge it, or you have week by week and continue to build that have that regular cable feel?
it's a good question. I think it kind of depends on the show. I think the genre kind of plays on that. I think sometimes for shows that leave you on the edge of your seat, I think you're kind of always wanting to know what happens next. But I think for certain shows, you're kind of comfortable with just getting it all up front. So I think the genre of the show kind of makes a difference than personal preference, you can say. What about yourself?
Yeah, I would definitely say show by show. There's some shows where like you want to have the full thing, when there's other shows where it kind of builds the momentum and fandom of you just to have it week by week. and just seeing how things play out over time. So I think, yeah, like you're saying, depending on the genre of the show, you kind of have with shows like, okay, this the type of show I can see, oh, I can definitely binge that. There's some where you kind of need space and time, and we just let things evolve. So I think, yeah, it definitely depends on the show and the genre of it.
Yeah, indeed. I think
And even bouncing back to our first conversation about adulthood and adulting, we definitely see as we grow up and as we evolve over time, the importance of compromising. So I guess to start off, what would you say your overall thoughts are compromises both in relationships and just in life in general?
I think once you realize that everything's not going to go your way and everybody doesn't have the same thought process and how they digest certain situations, and once you realize there's ability or the need to give other people grace, I think that's kind of the where compromise comes into play. I think that compromise is essential in every aspect or any relationships, and I think that in today's times people are so used to being selfish rather than selfless. How about yourself?
Yeah, compromise is definitely important because we're not going to get everything our way all the time. So I think you definitely have to, there's like a give and take for everything. So you have to really compromise, especially you want to make things work in the long term, whether it be relationship, whether it just be just life situations. There's going to be things you're going to have to compromise because you know you're not always going to get your way. So I think that's definitely important. And you'll see, I guess, yeah, over time, really just how important it is and just being prepared for it. I think that's the main thing too.
Being that we're more a solution oriented show, how would you teach somebody or explain to somebody who doesn't know how to compromise? How would you teach them this is what compromise looks like or how to have compromise?
hmm Yeah, I think always you want to put yourself in the other person's shoes and you want to have things reciprocated. You want to have, whether it be a relationship or just life in general, you want to have things where you have those benefits as well. So I think you always with compromise, you want to say, okay, if you were in the situation, if you had something that maybe favored you that you had to compromise, how would you be able to do that and just taking yourself out of that situation, just seeing that. So I would definitely say, yeah, just putting yourself in the other person's shoes and just having that balance of just putting, I guess, putting the other person first as well, and having that person also put you first. So just kind of give and go there.
Indeed. What would your advice to be to someone who's in a relationship or in a relationship or a situation in life where they're with someone who won't compromise? How would you tell them how to navigate that situation?
I guess I would have that person here just sit down with the other individual and just really share the reason why. Because I think oftentimes you might ask to do something, but they might not know why. So I think if you're able to kind of show and express that to them and just showing how, okay, if we do compromise, this is what's going to happen. That'll be beneficial for me, and hopefully the other person can see that. So I think the main thing I think is just sitting that person down, is really fully explaining, I guess, the situation and why they would have to compromise. I think that would be important.
To a degree, gender matters in the level of compromise because I think when you're dealing with women, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So I think the delivery matters when you're speaking to women, and I think the information matters when you're speaking to men. And I think that it's just you have to be aware of your audience. I think that's the biggest important key to any healthy compromising relationship or partnership or business relationship. It's always the ability to say, okay, cool. This is how I think. This is how you think. You think A, I think C. Let's meet in the middle with B. And I think the level of balance necessary, that's the healthy benefit to compromise.
hmm And I also think everybody's different. So you're going to have, whether it be a relationship with a family member, a relationship just with a significant other, there's going to be people are going to be different. So there's going to be different ways to compromise. So I think you have to learn, okay, each person is going to be different and how you interact with them and how their personality is. So I think if you understand how they interact and what their personality is like, that can definitely help you compromise in an effective way with that person.
Indeed. And I think once you have that ability and once you gain that skill, that's something, and even when you are mastering in your level of compromise, that's a skill that you can always improve and grow from. But I think once you have the ability to compromise, you're able to digest certain situations in a much more effective manner. And I think that overall, it just makes you much more just sharper in your perspective on how you move through life. And as always, we thank you for your viewing pleasure. We hope this episode has been insightful and delightful. Jabisky, tell them where they can follow us.
Yeah, if you can check out our Instagrams at Vagiato.production. You can check out our YouTube as you are here right now. It's Vagiato Production, and our website, www.vagiato.com. As always, we want to thank you again for watching. Yeah, but as we said at the beginning, we want to just continue to thank you all for just continuing to watch and support us. And as we continue to evolve and as we continue to have these episodes, if you have any topics in mind or anything you want us to talk about specifically, please let us know. We would love to address those topics, and we'll just continue to build the community. So thank you again.
And remember, this is the family show. You got to
Yeah.
Second place. But every day, you give a Vagiato, stay blessed.